Chamgei chitab Kalenjin amang'ung'oi tugul ole imite koibaibai ak ikere ketesiet nebo Kass TV, tetutiet ko Kass Mashinani, kikurena Jacky Arusei. Eng Kass Mashinani keibun logoiwek chetesetai eng emet, ibwat ile mite sirikchok chebo logoiwek eng counties cheterter kotesetai kosubi logoiwek, ako notok kebendi keibun tugul kou oleu eng studio nebo Kass TV. Kitaune logoiwek chotok kole tesetai bunge nebo National Assembly ak kasetab motion netokchingei keisto minister nebo kabatisiet Mithika Linturi eng boisiet kotinygei ak aldaetab mbolea cheyach chekoityi kabatik. Indojini kasetab motion inotok committee nekikitoi asikokas lelutik chekikimwaitae Linturi ole kikoito motion inotok eng bunge MP nebo Bumula Jack Wamboka komache keisto Linturi kotinygei ak aldaetab mbolea chotok kiyach koityi kabatik. Eng inguni kokonu baornateng'wa kebeberta nebo Linturi ak Wamboka eng saitab committee notok pa bunge.
Body as that of their kin, Daniel Mutiani Bernard, alias Sniper, on 18th December 2023, and the same day, detectives from the Homicide Investigations Unit in Nairobi took over the investigations from the area police, and this was because of the highly politicized and sectional emotional sentiments that were coming at that time and still are coming until now about the commission of that grievous crime against the deceased. And therefore, we sent a team of detectives from the homicide unit in Nairobi to take it over from the local police authorities in Meru. Mr. Speaker, sir, a post-mortem was conducted by the Chief Government Pathologist, Dr. Johansen Oduor, on 22nd December 2023. And in his opinion, the cause of death was asphyxia due to ligature strangulation. Mr. Speaker, sir, investigations have placed 5 accused persons at the scene of the abduction: Vincent Mureithi Kiremi, Kenneth Murangiri Gwantai, Christus Manyara Kiambi, Brian Mwenda, and Boniface Kithinji Njuya. These 5 were together with the deceased from Meru town all the way to Mutonga River, where the body was dumped. Further, samples collected during the post-mortem examination and submitted to the government chemist for analysis indicated that it contained acetamiprid and cyhalothrin, which are systemic insecticides. Kenneth Murangiri Gwantai was particularly in constant communication with Vincent Mureithi alias Supu during the time of luring the deceased, the time of abduction, and the time of the disposal of the body. He thereafter met Vincent and the other accused persons at Makutano suburb of Meru County after the execution of the crime. At the close of the investigations, a charge, at least on those 5, investigations have closed on those 5, or were closed on those 5, and a charge of murder contrary to section 203 as read together with section 204 of the Penal Code was recommended against Vincent Mureithi alias Supu, Kenneth Murangiri Gwantai alias Tali, Christus Kiambi Manyara alias Chris, Brian Mwenda alias Brayo, and Boniface Kithinji Njuya alias DJ Kaboom. All the 5 accused persons were charged before the High Court at Kiambu in High Court Criminal Case E001 of 2024, and they all pleaded not guilty. They are remanded at Nairobi and Kitengela remand prisons. The case was last mentioned on 23rd of April 2024. The hearing of this case has been set. The hearing dates are 24th, 25th, and 26th. And then the ruling on bail is set on 16th May 2024, which is next week. Honorable Speaker, sir, investigations were commenced immediately the report was made, and from the foregoing, it is not true that there has been delay in investigations. What there has been is that we believe this is a very complicated crime. There could have been other people beyond the 5 who may have been responsible, but we are yet to establish any direct or circumstantial evidence so that we can open additional charges for any additional people. But for the 5, Honorable Speaker, we have a watertight murder case against the 5. Mr. Speaker, sir, the government is committed to uphold the freedom of expression and right of information as enshrined in the Constitution. Any journalist or blogger who is intimidated or harassed is encouraged to report to the nearest police station or even to anonymously report so that action can be taken. And I want to assure the House, through you, Honorable Speaker, that the government is committed to make sure that our agencies for law enforcement act fairly and enforce the law against all persons without fear or favor, without discrimination, and without any bias. Honorable Speaker, our police officers have been sensitized on upholding the rule of law and constitutionalism, and therefore nobody should feel unsafe, nobody should feel as if they are not protected by the law of Kenya or by the law enforcement agencies of our country. I submit, Honorable Speaker.
Senator for Meru, you have an opportunity to ask 2 supplementary questions pursuant to Standing Order 51C7.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, sir. Honorable Speaker, first of all, I want to thank the CS for the comprehensive brief that he has given this House, and also to commend him because he is one of the visible CSs that we have in this country and who are doing some good work. So, Mr. Speaker, mine was actually to ask the CS whether the investigations have been concluded. He has touched on it. And, Mr. Speaker, the reason that why I'm asking so is that this homicide department of our police force has not delved on the sponsors or the people who paid these 5 who are already in the cells. At no point has there been any link to any other person on this matter. So, Mr. Speaker, my first supplementary question is to ask why this investigating body has never touched on the sponsors of this matter. Noting that, Mr. Speaker, Sniper is still in mortuary. He has never been buried. The family, the wife, the family, the entire Meru community is waiting for justice for Sniper. And the whole community has agreed this guy will never be buried until we see justice is being done. If I thought we could get that link of who are these sponsors, because the CSC statement was very clear who Sniper was.
Senator for Meru.
Let me even ask this only this supplementary, Mr. Speaker.
Let me guide you. Honorable Senator for Meru, you are expressing an opinion. And if you look at Standing Order 51B, which gives you the parameters of a question, it says a question shall not, and it gives many components, and F says seek an expression of an opinion. The opinion you're giving is that there are sponsors behind this homicide. Now, the space you're trying to get into, you may be called upon to substantiate, and I don't think you'll be in a position to do that comfortably. So, as you ask the supplementary question, avoid giving your opinion on this matter. Proceed, Honorable Deputy Speaker.
Well noted, Mr. Speaker. Is then to request the CS for speedy investigations, whatever bit that is remaining. We request as a Meru community for speedy investigation so that can be concluded, because he really said that investigations are still ongoing to see whether there are other people involved. So I request that BMB expedites more investigations so that this guy can get justice, and then he will be put to rest, because still he is in the mortuary, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable CS.
Mr. Speaker, sir, investigations have not concluded. The murder file on the deceased is still open, and murder files are never closed, and there is no statute of limitations on murder offenses, and therefore, Mr. Speaker, I want to assure the House through you that all persons who may have participated in any way, directly or indirectly, in the heinous and cruel murder of the deceased will be held accountable. Mr. Speaker, as the Minister responsible for our national security, I want to assure the Senate that the government has full confidence in the work of the Directorate of Criminal Investigations, particularly the inquiry an investigation being carried out by the homicide unit in this particular matter and all the other matters, and therefore there is no cause of alarm. And finally, Honorable Speaker, in the event that any member of the public has any information that can help us link anyone that they think there is evidence linking them to this murder, please give us the evidence. But at the moment, we are analyzing data, and that I take cue from the request by the Senator. We'll be asking the agencies to expedite without, of course, interfering with this work that is being done. We want to make sure by the time we take people to court, we will have them convicted. For these 5, I see held accountable because the evidence is watertight.
Senator Wambua.
I thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I wish the CS and his department well as they try to establish a nexus between this crime and those people that they're saying have not been netted yet. Mr. Speaker, mine is a related question and a request to the CS. Mr. Speaker, you remember yesterday on the floor of this House, I brought the matter of the 7 Kenyans from Kitui who were murdered in a terror attack in Mandera on the 29th of April. The bodies of those Kenyans are lying at City Mortuary, and we have 4 of them admitted at Kenyatta National Hospital. It's a live matter, Mr. Speaker. Maybe the CS may not have the fine details of each of these cases, but just to extract a comment from him on the request that the families are making for reprieve with help in the treatment of those in hospital, the footing of the medical bills, in the making of the arrangements for burial expenses and body reconstruction for those who are blown up to pieces by the blast. All of them, Mr. Speaker, and I mentioned yesterday, they are neighbors of the CS. Of course, he is a national government official. They all come from Mwingi West and Mwingi Central constituencies, 7 of them. Can the CS make an undertaking that he will facilitate the taking care of the bills for those people that have been blasted in that bomb? I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Now, Honorable Wambua, that is not a supplementary question. That is a substantive question. And therefore, Honorable CS, if you're in a position to respond to it, you may proceed. If you're not, you don't have to, because it is not a supplementary question as defined by our standing orders. Honorable CS.
Mr. Speaker, sir, we have a long tradition in this country for governments, not just this particular administration, all governments, all administrations to support Kenyans in distress. And therefore, although the Senator for Kitui has ambushed me, invoking neighborhood and other true facts, Mr. Speaker, I want to assure the Senator for Kitui, my brother, Senator Wambua, that the government will lend a hand of support to our brothers and who are affected by that attack, that unfortunate attack in Mandera on 29th of April. And the Senator is encouraged to get in touch with me this afternoon so that we can avail what government is able to do to support all the affected families.
Senator Mutinda, Tabitha. Now, a supplementary question must relate to the primary question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and let me start by appreciating the CS for the great work that he's doing. And on the issue of one sniper, Mr. CS, you know that one of the key evidences for any murder is 1, the body, 2, the weapon, 3, the motive. In this case, you have the body, you have the motive, which was criticizing the governor. In the 5 arrested accused people, we have Ken, who is a brother to the governor. We have Supu, who is the PA to the governor, the PA to the husband of the governor. We also have the crime scene, which you investigated, which was a home to the governor.
Senator Tabitha.
My question, Mr. Speaker.
Are those facts contained in the response by the CS?
Yes, they are contained, and that's where I'm bringing my question from. I'm basing my question on the feedback.
Now, the relationship between these people and the governor, are those facts contained in the response?
It is in the public domain that these are relatives, some of them are relatives to the governor, and that will make the CS understand my question, so that's why I put it like that, Mr. Speaker. And my question is to the CS, with those common denominators that all focus on one person, who is the governor of Meru, do you, in your view, are you seeing any connectivity of this killing by the said person? Was there any financing by the governor to these people? Because the call, as you indicated, was that the need of the call from Supu was to discuss on how the late sniper would stop criticizing the governor. And lastly, the cost of the mortuary that are still accruing each and every day simply because the family has not been able to give a decent send-off to their loved one. Is the government going to take this cost, because the delay is on the government side? Because if this case has been closed, then the family would have an opportunity to rest one of their beloved ones. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Now, before the CS responds, honorable senators, do not bring facts that you may be called upon to either prove or substantiate. The fact that some of them are relatives to the governor, that is not a matter in the public knowledge. I'm a member of the public and I'm not aware of those facts. And therefore, don't assume the role of a witness to give evidence. And again, you have to know that this matter is active in court. The reason why I approved this question was because it sought to get a general status of the investigations and what government has put in place to stop this kind of homicide. Beyond that, we will be going deep into the merit and demerits of this case, which I may not allow. Honorable CS, you may proceed to respond to the last limb of the question by Senator Tabitha.
Right, Honorable Speaker. Thank you for protecting me. Honorable Speaker, the basic principle of criminal law presupposes individual criminal responsibility. So one is connected with a crime as an individual, not through family relationship. And therefore for us, it's not important who is related to who. What is important to the investigators is whoever participated in any way, directly, indirectly, or by being an accessory after the fact, an aider or abettor of the crime will be brought to book. And I want to leave it at that point and appeal that we keep political and other things outside this. It's a purely criminal investigations, and justice will be served.
Senator Manzo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I would like to ask a supplementary question in relation to the delay of decent burial of the deceased. Mr. Speaker, could the CS explain or indicate whether, as a government, bearing in mind that a murder trial can last for many years, is there a way, as a Minister of Interior, who we know is a studious minister with a clear mind as to what he's doing, and this matter being a family matter, is there a way his office can talk to the family so that now that some ground has been covered and some people have been charged, that they could now lay to rest the deceased? Bearing in mind that if we allow the state to be as it is, it could even be for 10 years. If they're waiting for somebody to be convicted so that they may rest the deceased, it could be a long. Is there anything you can do as a ministry, as an office, to convince the family to lay to rest the deceased? I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable CS.
Mr. Speaker, sir, we would encourage the family to rest their loved one, because first, criminal investigations are never closed. Criminal files are live forever. However, criminal investigations are also complex, and by the time you take someone to court, you must have good evidence so that you don't just engage in an act of futility where you arrest anybody who is mentioned without sufficient evidence and then they are acquitted by court. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, in line with the request and the suggestions by the distinguished Senator for Makueni, my friend, the Honorable Manzo, we are trying informally to reach out and talk to the family and the community to just rest their loved ones, because in case of anything, as members of this House are aware, we even exhume people when it is necessary, of course, through a court order, if it is necessary. So keeping the body unburied doesn't serve a lot of purpose. In any case, the government does not require any form of pressure to do what is right and what is just. When the victim is buried, when they are not buried, we'll still do what we must. So we will reach out, Honorable Speaker, as suggested, informally, but the decision and discretion lies with the family on when to rest their loved one.
Senator Mariam.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. Mr. Speaker, I wanted to ask the CS on the matter of Al-Shabaab.
No, I'm afraid, Honorable Senator, that I will not allow you to go that route, because under standing orders, the only thing you can do is to ask a supplementary question. And a supplementary question is a question that is related to the primary question. And if you look at the response, if you look at the question and the response by the CS, there's nothing Al-Shabaab in that matter. So if you have a burning question on Al-Shabaab, please file it with the clerk. I'll gladly approve it so that the CS can provide a response to it.
Mr. Speaker, staying guided, but mine is related questions, and also the CS is an interior security. He knows what is going on.
I know
and
that,
again,
I'm very
Mr.
much
Speaker,
aware. I did not say the CS is in charge of agriculture. I'm aware that is in charge of interior.
Ketesetai tetutietab Kass Mashinani kokakobar kaimetab MCS chebo county nebo Uasin Gishu kotinygei ak yautiet nekiibokchi ak kebir MCA nebo waditab Soy Isaac Chirchir eng kasarta nekitesetai igorta nebo roptaitab bursaries eng komosta nebo Soy kiindojini governor nebo Uasin Gishu. Kamwa MCA chotok kole manyol kakwautiet notok kole kasom keyai chikilisiet neititaat ak keipchi kakwautik biik chekisuldae yautiet notok asikobit imanda.
Kong'ololjin sirikab logoiwek eng County Assembly nebo Uasin Gishu konerekyi membaechotok kobun Leader of Majority ne inendet kora ko MCA nebo Megun Julius Sang yautiet nekibit eng konekit nemwaat kele kikibokchi ak kebir MCA nebo Soy Isaac Chirchir Tamogei eng ofisinyi alake eng biik chotok chekuregei ribikab governor kasarta notok nekitesetai kakoitoetab bursary.
On Thursday, 2nd May 2024, during a bursary disbursement exercise presided over by His Excellency the Governor of this county in Soy Ward, there was a breach of security which resulted in a scuffle between Honorable Isaac Kiptanui Chirchir, the Honorable Member representing Soy Ward, and strangers in the midst of Governor's entourage. We, as members of this county assembly and the leadership, wish to condemn in the strongest terms possible the unfortunate and regrettable incident and would not condone any form of attack on any honorable member. The office of any elected member is an office of honor constitutionally, and as such office holder must be treated with the utmost respect and not subjected to any form of public ridicule.
Kanerekyi sang yautyonotok eng mwaet kole imuchi koib nitok tilyandit nemakararan eng kwenutab ofisitab governor anan executive ak membaekab county assembly notok nebo Uasin Gishu chemwae kole kikwai boisionik eng kibagenge eng kasarta nekoi.
The events cast negative aspersions on the officers working closely with the governor and puts to question their professionalism. Moreover, we are at pains to understand how strangers can comfortably surround themselves around the governor and even to the extent to cause fracas in his presence.
Some sang ofisaekab sigisiet kwai chikilisiet notok nebo chokchinet ak nebo barak neityin keipchi kerkong'et biik chotok chekitinygei ak taunetab mburiet.
We therefore call for urgent investigations on this matter and persons found to be culpable to face the necessary disciplinary action. We trust that no such incident will happen again, as it could jeopardize the good but delicate working relationship between the Office of the Governor and this Honorable House. We, as the County of Uasin Gishu, we have over time, since we came to office, cultivated a very good and harmonious working relationship between the first arm of government, that is the County Assembly, and the executive. And therefore, we wish to report today that any incident that tries to bring division between the executive and the County Assembly, we will not allow.
Akot kunotok kotestai kobitu kang'unyng'unyet kotinygei ak yautik cheu chotok kibaorionjin eng county nebo Uasin Gishu. Kong'eteke taunetab Eldoret eng county nebo Uasin Gishu, logoiwekab emet chebo Kass, kainenyu ko Isaac Kogei.
Kaya ngambaget meng'ik chebo Ngito sublocation eng Elmotiok Ward eng Narok West konerekyin Assistant Chief nebo komasatak nemwoe kole kitinygei ak butetab etiet neituitos kokwetab Ngitu ak Sirinik nekitech meng'ikcho. Kamwa meng'ichotok kole togu komatindoi maget nemi kirwakindo notok ole kaitechi inendet koibchi kamanut boisionik ak koistoegei boisionikwak. Kinyor report ng'oindo kobun Nicholas Rono.
Koimongei meng'ichoton bo Ngito sublocation kondochin John Aleleito akoker oretab Mulot Sekemian Road koboru neregek en kit nemwoe kole kimuse kele tinyegei kirwogindonoton ak butitab etiet neituitos Ngito ak Sirinik nekitech meng'ichoton bo Ngito koboisien tugukwak.
Kulingana na ile maneno tuko naye na chief hapa. Hii chief aende nyumbani, hatutaki tena. Hatutaki kwa sababu aende ongoza watu wake, hatutaki aende nyumbani. Tunaomba hivyo. Na tunaomba. Kila siku anatesa sisi. TCI jana ametusamu Sunday. Hata TCI anapigia sisi simu. Tukifika pale hakuna TCI. Tumehangaishwa. Kwani tukitengeneza project ya wananchi tunaitiwa kwa TCI, tumefanya criminal.
Akasema hiyo vitu mnafanya hapo ni ya ujinga. So watu hapa wamejitolea, wametoa pesa zao, wamemobilize vijana, sisi vijana tumeenda kutoa miti, kukuja kutengeneza daraja. Yeye akasema hiyo kitu ni ubuzi na hakuna mahali mnaenda.
Alele kakebon mbaret olyon konyone nyoitoreto. Kolenjon komoche rabinik sinyon achobu. Awe wikit agenge. Kolenjon aseku alele motinye rabinik. Kolenjon mama ine makichobe wikit en kaptio koma rabinik.
Na hivyo kitu ambao tunaonelea tukiwa watu wa pande huu, tunataka huu chief aende tutafute mwingine.
Kokwoutiet nekamwa ichek kole kiesho kirwokindet teksetab etionoton ole kokibut etionoton biik chemokingen en kemoi sikoi kembetab raini, yautiet nemwoe meng'ichoton bo Ngito kole imuch kotinyegei ak kirwokindenoton.
Watoto wa Ngito Secondary School day scholars ni karibu 400 wanatoka US bande wa Sirnik wanakuja Ngito Secondary School. Wanapita maji asubuhi sana. The situation is worsening. Ni maji mto ni mbaya. So sisi raia wenyeji wa huko wenye tunasikia hiyo uchungu tukajitolea. Sasa shida gani tumejitolea?
Kusipke ak leito kokikotestai kobit terchinet ak kirwokindet nebo komosoton bo Ngito sublocation ak meng'ik chebunu komosoton ole mwoe ichek kole matakoityin en yaetab boisionik chebo emet.
Wakati huu wa mvua tumekuwa na changamoto mingi, watu wanabebwa na maji. So juzi wananchi wakaamua wakatoa rasilimali zao tukajenga hiyo daraja, lakini jambo la kustua ni kwamba leo asubuhi tumepata hiyo daraja kama imekatwa na imekatwa chini. Zile mawaya tulikuwa tumetengeneza, na mtu ambaye amekata hiyo daraja ni assistant chief, kwa sababu tangu tuanze hiyo mambo ya kuconstruct hiyo daraja yeye amekuwa akipinga, na ni jambo la kustajabisha kwa sababu kiongozi anapopinga maendeleo kwa eneo lake ya watu ni kitu ya kustajabisha.
Akot kounoton komwa rubeiwotab kirwokindet nebo Ngito sublocation Daniel Kusitany kole motinyegei ak butetab etionoton en kole kobaten moyoni ketech etiet nemoityin magutik chenyolunotin en serikali.
Hii daraja imejengwa kutumia waya ya stima na kutumia mbao, na katikati ya maji hakuna any support, na hii bridge inaning'inia tu kwa hewani, na walikuwa natarajia watoto wa shule wa Ngito Secondary, Sirnik Primary, Ngito Primary wakuje wafuke kwa hiyo bridge. Mimi nilitembea mpaka huko kulingana na directive ya president, nikaona hii bridge sio nzuri, na hiyo bridge ikiwa area assistant sitakubali. Hata ingawa kuna mwakili mmeinsight vijana wakuja kwangu wakanipora wakachukua pikipiki ya serikali, na mimi sitakubali. Mimi niliandika upigo wa polisi, watoto wangu walikimbia kwa nyumbani.
Chiba angekuja tuketi na sisi raia, tumwambie sisi hii daraja ni mbaya, tujue ni turekaribisha namna gani. Sasa saa hii hata MC alikuja jana akasema daraja ni mzuri, nitaleta manjinia kutoka kaunti. Sasa tulikuwa nangojea manjinia akuja asabe hiyo daraja yetu.
Mimi nimesimama na directive ya president na sitarudi nyuma. Hiyo bridge lazima tuone hata authorities waangalie, engineer ya serikali akuja angalie na iangushwe chini. Hiyo ni directive ya president, na mimi naona this one is very dangerous to human beings na sitakubali.
En logoiwekab emet chebo Kass TV kong'eten Ngito en county nebo Narok, kainenyun ko Nicholas Rono.
Kakobarasta President William Ruto kole keyat sugulishek eng tarik 13 arawetab mut eng betutab Jumatatu eng wikit nenyonei. Kamwa Ruto kole kaityi kongat keyat sugulishek eng wikit nenyonei kosubkei ak report nekoikoito kibagengeit netinyegei ak chikiletab itonwekab emet nebo Meteorological Department kole kokotoi kwo ng'ony kaitetab ropta neketetat keborionji eng emoni. Kangat kora President William Ruto keyachi kelelit komaswek chekowechokis eng sugulishekab emoni kosubkei ak maranet nekibit eng emet akonotok ko kamwa President William Ruto koba sugul kipsomaninik kong'ete betutab Jumatatu eng wikit nenyone. Ketesetai ak logoiwek komache First Lady Mama Rachel Ruto kikimit tetutik chebo ripsetab tiong'ikab timin asikwa barak sekta nebo tajetab kiprutoinik eng emet. Kong'ololi eng bugetab Mount Kenya Wildlife Conservancy ole koborionji katyaktaetab cheptirgichik 10 chenotin kou Mountain Bongo koba mbugetab Mawingu Mountain Bongo Sanctuary, komwa Mama Rachel kole bo kamanut sekta nebo tourism eng bandaptai nebo emet akonotok konyalu kekanapta sekta inotok. Eng komostanyi komwa Minister nebo Tourism Dr. Alfred Mutua kole tesetai serikali kokanaptoi sekta nebo tajetab kiprutoinik asikotoreti eng kanaptaetab uchumi nebo emet.
Thank you very much. Tourism remains a critical sector for the Kenyan economy, especially around foreign exchange earnings. As a service sector, it creates numerous jobs and supply chain opportunities. Conservation is at the center of the success of the tourism sector. The rare mountain bongo antelope is one of the species that was nearly extinct and remains critically endangered. This is due to various factors such as trophy hunting, live trade, poaching, disease, habitat loss, and fragmentation. Currently, we have an estimated 100 mountain bongo antelopes spread across 4 isolated locations in Kenya, including this sanctuary.
One of my focus is the African continent. We are very blessed. You know, when I went to Rwanda, and I found that the Rwandese have a lot of hanging change, and they want to come to Kenya. Ghana, Angola, Africans have a lot of money. But we have really not been focusing on African tourism. Yes, our brothers and sisters of Asia are good, our brothers and sisters of Europe, very good. But also we need to look at what is around us. And they can come here.
The bongo has been oscillating at about 100 individuals. And these are in isolated populations in Aberdare and the Buru Forest. And the largest population, Your Excellency, is what you will find in this particular sanctuary. Your Excellency, what we are witnessing here today is a success story of Mount Kenya Wildlife Conservancy, Mountain Bongo Breeding and Rewarding Program, which was established to present the species the best and last opportunity to recover naturally and re-establish a viable and self-sustaining population in the Bongo native habitat that is Mount Kenya.
Kakobarasta serikali kole wendi koitoi toretet nebo rabinik chekiboisie eng konoretab biik chekoibet sobonwekwak eng nyasutietab maranet nekoityi meng'ikab Mai Mahiu yekongo karibu silanget agenge eng komosta nebo Kijabe ak koranda beek kotokyigei komosta nebo Mai Mahiu. Kamwa minista nebo ribetab kalyet eng emet orit Professor Kithure Kindiki kole tetat kikoito toretet nemagat eng familia ak chamanik chebo biik cheite 16 chekoibet sobonwekwak eng nyasutyonotok. Akotunotok komwa Kindiki kole kiistoi eng kimnatet biik chemaisubi ng'atutiet nekokon serikali kole koistogei biik tugul chemeng'isie eng Kijabe eng kokwatinwek chebo lengomosiek eng Mai Mahiu chekibwotyin kele imuch koityi icheket nyasutik alake chebo maranet.
We have directed the evacuation of all families whose residences fall within the projected pathway of any floods that could emanate if the drainage systems and the culverts and the channels we've just inspected were to burst. We pray that they don't burst.
And because there has not been rain for the last 2 days here, the water levels have slightly subsided, but the risk is real. And any further drop of rain would present a challenge to the infrastructure here. And therefore, we have directed evacuation of all the families downstream, as advised by our experts. Already 86 families, I'm informed, have already been relocated. But there are also families who are within the flood path who are still lingering in that area. And we have directed that they must be moved mandatorily. They must move. It is not an option, it's mandatory. And we've just lost too many people. And we really want to condole with the families. And tomorrow, for those who are affected, we will be able to have a general mass service to remember the souls of our departed countrymen and women and our children who perished in this most painful manner as a result of this crisis that is happening in most parts of our country at the moment. And the government will take the responsibility of meeting the funeral expenses of all the families who have already retrieved and received their loved ones. We will support the families so that we share with them the pain. Of course, as we are aware, we cannot replace, and no action can replace the souls of our country, men and women, and our children whom we have lost. But as a sign of solidarity with the community downstream which was affected, the government will shoulder the responsibility of the funeral expenses for the families